I'm going to actually give the tutorial on how I use PowerPoint for the last album. So here's another variation of that album, just to remind you. This one, on the other hand, is done using book cloth. So it's actually cloth covered, both front and back. But I use the exact same technique that I used to cover with designer series paper. I also added a plate and stamped the word blessed. I thought that was appropriate for this book because I'm using scriptures as the journaling. Again, I want to stress that the best way to journal is with your own handwriting. But I used the journal, and because I didn't use the designer series paper on this version, I used a different stamp set to accentuate the watercolor stamping. But this album is really meant to highlight these photos. Each one has the text. Now on the other album that I did for you also, I used vellum. This time I didn't use vellum. I used clear labels. And that's because I didn't want to use accessories for adhering my vellum. I want it to stay so flat, and I do best with brads and vellum. So to avoid having a need to worry about adhesive, I use clear Avery labels to put this text on to the watercolor paper. Turns over so you can continue on the other side. Same thing, scripture on the left, picture on the right. You can totally do some other, like for instance, you could have picture on the right and maybe on the left the story of what happened that day, or something about that person, like, you know, maybe their birthday or their favorite colors. So that's that album, and I love, this is a concertina bind, and I just love the way it looks. No matter how you put it down on the table, it always looks special and people want to pull it apart and look at it. So a couple of people have emailed me and said, show us how you use PowerPoint to lay out your text and your pictures. This happens to be a Mac, but it's the same process on a PC. All right, I'm going to go to the Insert menu. So that's the Insert menu. It's not high enough for you to see. And I'm going to choose Text Box from the Insert menu. Then I'm going to get that icon ready for me to make a text box. I can just draw one, but it defaults to auto fit. So I'm just going to put the word auto fit in there. And now I have a text box with the word auto fit in it. So I'm going to double click on the border of that box. So if you double click on the inside, you may not get it, but double click on one of the borders and you'll get a dialog box for that shape. Over on the left of that dialog box are all your different options of what you can configure. And we're going to configure just 2 or 3 things. So we're going to start at the top with the line. So we're going to actually give this a very gray border. So a thin gray border, and you can go over to the weights and change the weight so that it's really thin. It's like 0.25 point in the thickness of the line, for instance, so that you get a nice, and I'll show you what happened. So now we can see that box. This will help you when you're cutting it out later on. So I'm going to double click on it again, and this time I'm going to go down to text box, and I'm just going to put it in the middle vertically. That way, no matter how big the text is, it'll always be centered. All right, so that's the vertical alignment is middle. I'm going to change auto fit to do not auto fit. And that's because we want every single box to be the same size. Then I'm going to set a left margin of 0.5 and a right margin of 0.5. So notice that gives us some margins on the sides. Finally, we're going to size this to the page of our mini album, which is 5 inches tall by 4 inches wide. And now we have a box ready. And I actually slam it right into the left edge of the page so that I can get another one down. So I'll copy that and paste it over to the opposite side. So I don't really put them up close. You could align them side by side like that. Just when you cut, it depends on how you would prefer to cut it. Alright, so now that I have those 2 boxes there, I'm going to, all I have to do is put the text of the scripture in there. So I have one already here that I can just copy and paste in there. So you would copy and paste your scripture from the Bible. Probably you go to a website to pull up the text, because nowadays you can get the Bible online easily. So just type the scripture you want in the browser search tool, and it'll pull it up in so many versions, and you'll be able to copy and paste it from the web. All right, and then put as many scriptures as you want. In this case, I'm just going to copy a piece of that so you can see that if it's a different size, because we set it to middle, it automatically is going to center no matter how small or how tall it is. It'll center the text within the box. All right, now as far as the pictures go, just to let you know, you can select both boxes to change the font, and you just do select and format font, and I had used American typewriter, and I had set it to a font size of 14 the first time, and I think I did it bigger the second time. I did it 18 the second time. So whether you like the text big or small, it's totally up to you. It depends on how much space you want to take up with the text. In a way, I like the smaller one better, but it depends on who you're giving this to. If you're giving it to older people, you might want to leave it larger. Okay, so now I'm just going to save this presentation, and you save it to somewhere you won't lose it, and we're going to do the pictures. So as far as the pictures, you pull up another blank slide. So here's a blank slide, and I'm just going to insert some pictures. So you can get your pictures from your desktop, from wherever you might be able to find pictures. The key to inserting pictures, which is just insert menu and selecting pictures, is you want to align them on the screen so that when you cut, you can cut a straight line under them, because you're not going to be able to use your punch in the center of this page. So like, let's say you had 8 pictures here. You'd want to line them up so that you could cut underneath. You could cut between these 2 pictures, and these 2 strips would be what you would punch out of. Okay? So let me just show you that slow. So you do insert menu and choose picture, and then you go to wherever your picture is. So let's go somewhere to a picture that's not perfect. Let's get this picture here. I have no idea. Okay, so it's just a digital stamp picture. It's too big for my project. My project has 2 by 2 squares, so you just double click on it again, go to size, and size it. So I can do 2 by 2 because I'm going to use the punch to crop. And then once you have your picture there, you can go ahead and keep inserting pictures and kind of lining them up side by side. Insert picture, I'll go to my desktop, pick a picture. So there's a picture of me. If I wanted that small, I would just double click on it, change the height to 2 by 2, and say OK, and then line it up there. Now as far as the sepia goes, right, and I want all the bottoms to be lined up. So again, when I take my cutter and cut this, I can cut it once. I don't have to cut little pieces out. I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to go to the picture choices here. There's an area called Recolor. I can change it to sepia, and that automatically sepias the image, even if it was color. So that's how I got all of my pictures that sepia color. So if you want to see the presentation that I had created, all right, here it is. It had, as you can see, it has 5 slides. It has 2 text boxes on 4 slides, because that's all I could fit. And then it has the pictures on. So the pictures were printed out. This last slide, number 5, was printed out on photo paper, and the other pages were printed out on Avery full sheet label paper. So let me just show you that. It's called Clear Full Sheet Label, and it's by Avery. And what it is it's a full 8.5 by 11 sheet that's clear. I can print on it and then cut it, and it automatically has all the sticky stuff I need to stick it to my watercolor paper. No adhesive worries at all. So that's how I did that. Thank you for visiting. There'll be another video posted soon, so please come back again. Thank you, and bye-bye.